Hey there, brother. Game changer here. So yeah, your defence actually is doing well. Your attack rate's doing really, really well. It looked to be very low on your fob deployment, so I'd be interested to see what level your fobs are. You should be able to get level 6 now. Obviously, you've just gone up to CC8, so that should be quite interesting. You will obviously have to join Tango now. So congratulations on your upgrade. It hasn't took you long because I think you joined us at CC7, well, about 24th of April, didn't you? So I'll tell you what, you've upgraded to CC8 quickly, so awesome work. Watch out, make sure you're not going too quick though. That's probably the only advice I would give any player really. Just take your time. Now you are CC8, obviously Tango's where you'll end up, but obviously make sure you're strong enough for those guys because you will be hitting some big people now. The reason why there was a bit of a delay on getting back to you, me and GI Joe were just discussing different sort of methods of base setup. I, up until recently, and G.I. Joe still now, thinks that the War Factory and barracks should be restrained inside the walls, which means that when the vehicles and troops spawn, they don't leave the walls. I'm changing that at the moment because I'm finding with splash damage that sometimes you could take them out inside the walls, and it was them that was almost imprisoned as opposed to the going out and obviously causing a little bit of mischief. So I've opened up my walls, but I've still got them quite tight. I think what is concern is that your base is quite spread out. The walls are quite kind of sporadic in a sense. I don't mind that really. I mean, where I think you do well, I mean, that Peacemaker there, if you look, I'd probably just knock that in a little bit. Just maybe take the War Factory a click or two, because you do have a bit of a sort of gap that you could get underneath it, and really you don't want that. You don't want any sort of gap from the Peacemaker from that side. But to be fair, you've got Salvo kind of covering to some degree, certainly from this side here. Railguns at our level, I'd question personally because M270s can outrange them, so can GMLRS and Heimers definitely can, and I suspect that's going to be the main type of attack that you're coming from now, so I think you maybe need to have a little think about that. I do like the air defence you've got in there. I would say you perhaps need an extra flak in there, and you can probably get an extra turret in there as well. Now your CC8, I suspect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, two. You might have the maximum amount. If you can, though, I definitely think you probably need an extra bit of air in there as well as. And what I'm surprised, I'm not seeing the heavy cannon. Why you haven't brought that into your defence yet, I don't know. That is certainly something, and you'll probably have to readjust all your base setups for that to work. I mean, where I do agree with G.I. Joe as well is that the base is potentially quite large. The problem with a large base, if I attack from this side isn't going to know much about it. If you bet your base smaller, then obviously you do have a better sort of firepower or concentration of firepower. In other words, more things are likely to hit you at the same time, like around this sort of area here. So that's certainly well worth thinking about. The downside of that could be with a new plane. Would that base then be taken out easier with obviously the firepower of that thing? So perhaps a spread out base could be the way forward. We constantly review and we constantly adapt, don't we? So we'll see how that works. I'm interested to see what your thoughts are on the barracks. Is the barracks there on purpose, or you're thinking, well, they'll not fancy that side, let's go for the easier bit, and then this brings them onto this side here for yourself? Is that kind of what you're coming from? I mean, I would have naturally, if anything, had the power plant, where the barracks is, because obviously I'd want to bring the barracks in because I want to try and protect it as long as I can. So I don't know if that's a throwaway, if you will, if you're kind of lulling people into that. If you are, fair play. Mine placement though, there's nothing really covering on that side. You're certainly wanting to cover this side. but there's nothing on this side. Again, you've got the railgun issue, so if I did come from this side, not that I'd want to, but if I did, I'm going to be having issues with that. I can outrange the railgun anyway, certainly with most attacks, but obviously you've got your mines in there, that would make that a little bit difficult. I suspect though where people would come from would be from this side here or from this side. I mean myself, I'd be tempted to drop a tank about here, roll it that way, and then roll it back again. Meanwhile the salvo and the peacemaker will lock onto that, and then obviously I can then take out said salvo and peacemaker quite quickly, and then obviously I can get to the railgun. Flak's not going to cause me any bother because I generally use ground initially, so that could be a vulnerability. So maybe if you're thinking about that, a second peacemaker needs to come in, or maybe changing that railgun for a salvo. So I mean my thoughts, the peacemakers and salvos are the way that I'm going, along with air attack. Because I find that they, I mean certainly salvos, they lock onto the target. You cannot bait one, you cannot drive away and it'll fire where it used to be. So I think salvos obviously work quite well, and now that they also pick up helicopters, that gives them an extra bonus. So you know there's some merits there. So where I would certainly tweak things personally, I would watch out for this side here, because yes, you've got two turrets, but that one there you could soon get underneath and then just be worried about that. The railgun, yeah, there's definitely, if you take that building out there, you're probably shielded from the railgun and you're underneath the peacemaker, which basically gives you a soft spot to then take the salvo, and then obviously you're in. So watch out for that. You perhaps need an overlap or to back that peacemaker back a little bit, as I've said. And then yeah, just have a think, what do you need inside your walls? Do you need oil? Do you need metal storage? I would personally say not. You've got the thorium store and the oil store there. Again, I would say not. If you put them outside the building and condense your walls, you could reduce your base to a smaller format. But review that, because if this new plane comes about and basically could devastate the whole core of a base like mine, you know, by one single strike, then you know what, you're on the right track. So you know, this game's never certain, it's never a given. We obviously, what worked before doesn't necessarily work now. So yeah, well worth having a little look at. The only spawn area you've missed slightly, I wouldn't want to spawn there because there's the mines, is that one. Maybe you need to swap the mine over as well, so it's probably kind of where that oil tank is there, because although you've got your two mines here, you could potentially roll in from this side here and not be picked up by a mine and get in that way. I think your vulnerability is potentially this side, but that could be something you're hoping for. So yeah, get back to us on that. Cheers, bro.